everybody, Lori here from Unique in the Creek. Tonight I am going to be doing a hybrid flower. The flower, the center of this flower is going to be a rose, and then the outer part is going to look like a sunflower. So we are going to be doing this flower almost like an ombre style, okay? So this flower is going to go from orange to yellow. Now, to do this, I am going to be fusing some mesh. So if you've never, you can actually make your own colors when you fuse mesh together. So I'm using 3 absolutely different types of mesh. I'm going to be using, for the yellow, I'm going to be using horizontal wide stripe. So I'm going to be using, like I said, this yellow horizontal wide stripe. I'm going to be using this 2-tone gold orange. It's just a value mesh. It looks more gold on the screen. And then I'm also using this orange deluxe foil. You can just use an orange, instead of a 2-tone, you can just use an orange value mesh or an orange normal foiled mesh. Like I said, this one right here is a deluxe foil. It's very sparkly. Okay, we're going to be fusing these mesh. So I have my wood burner heating up. I just have it in a coffee cup. The easiest way to store your wood burner. Now I'm just using oranges and yellows. You can use whatever colors you want. Like I said, I'm going from orange to yellow. Okay, so the very center of my flower is going to be all orange. And then as we move out, we have a fused orange yellow petal on row 4. And then on row 3, I have a fused yellow with this orange over top. It just gives the appearance of a lighter orange, but not quite yellow. And then row 2 is completely yellow. I'm just going to show you how you can fuse mesh together. You will need a wood burner. You can buy a wood burner any craft store. You can buy it on Amazon. There's a link under Lori's tools. This is just I think it's called Walnut Hollow. Okay, I'm just using the tip that comes right on the wood burner. And to hold it, I just use a coffee cup. So that is really hot. You also want to use something that's not going to melt. So I use this tempered glass cutting mat. You can get this also at Amazon. Again, there's a link under Lori's tools. It's already got measurements on it, especially if you do wood burning a lot. And I like to put a towel underneath because, you know, the wood burner can get really kind of hot. And I find when I put a white towel underneath, I can see the grid better on the glass. But you can also use like the back of a cookie sheet. If you have an old cookie sheet, you can mark 10 inches and mark 10.5 and like make a nice straight line, because normally that's all you'll use is a 10 inch and a 10.5 inch. And you can, you know, wood burn your mesh on that as well, as long as it's not rubber or plastic or anything that's going to melt. Okay, so we got our yellow and we're going to fuse orange over top. Okay, roll of yellow horizontal wide stripe, and then I have this beautiful orange deluxe foil. I'm going to put this over top of the yellow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you're just going to line up the 2 edges. Don't worry about if it's fraying already at the end, because we're going to fuse the beginning as well as fuse our pieces. So I'm just lining up the edges. Now you would do this for any kind of mesh that you want to fuse together. Do it exactly like this. So I just put little clips on them just to hold the two meshes together. So I'm just lining up the edges. And you want to make sure you line up, just make sure everything's lined up. There we go. Because once you line it up, it pretty much stays lined up as you're cutting or wood burning, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wood burn this edge to make sure it's fused. So I'm going to wood burn both of these mesh together, and it's going to fuse itself, okay? So I like to use my metal ruler I get from the dollar store, and I'm going to fuse this beginning part off first. Once you do this once and you have to cut more, you only have to do this part once. Now I can see the yellow underneath, and I want to cut in between these thick striations of plastic. It just makes for a straighter cut. So I'm just going to look through here, move my clips down just a bit, because we just want to make a nice cut to get us started off. So I'm making sure that the bottom edge of both of these mesh are running along one of the lines on my glass cutting mat. Hello everyone. I'm just showing you guys how to fuse mesh, because once we get going, I think it's going to be fabulous. I think. All right, so I can see through, and you're going to take your wood burner, use the 45-degree angle. You can see the tip is a 45-degree angle. Zoom down a little more. Okay, and I'm just going to run my wood burner alongside my metal ruler. That makes I get a straight cut. And you can see now that both of these mesh are now one piece. Okay, so they're fused together. So this is now, I'm going to get rid of this little piece. And now I'm going to cut, both of these mesh are 10.5 inches. So I need a 10.5 square. So I like to take a clip and I put it on my cutting mat, and the edge is on the 0. Okay, and everything's lined up, so my edges are running along the bottom. My edge that I just fused is on the 0, and my little clip is holding it. Okay, and we're going to cut this at 10.5 inches. Again, I can see the thicker plastic striations through my orange mesh on top. And we want to cut between those. It gives us a straighter cut. Okay, so this is going to be a 10.5 inch piece. Again, take your wood burner and just slowly, not too slow, but just a nice pace, and go straight down against your ruler. Now, if you don't have a ruler, it's not a big deal. I just find the ruler helps cut everything and keeps it square. And like I said, you can get the metal rulers in the where the pens and everything are at the dollar store. And there we go. So it is like an orange deluxe foil on the front, and we have a yellow on the back. And you can see that this is still fused from the roll. Now, this particular piece that I'm using, I now need to cut it in half, okay? Because we're only going to be using half pieces of this one. And you'll see in a second what I mean. I just wanted to show you guys how to fuse them. So I'm going to cut this piece. So I'm going to turn it into a diamond shape. And I'm going to cut this piece in half down the middle. Okay? So again, still on my glass mat. Now I'm going to go a little faster because this is plastic, this longer cutting thing, because obviously my ruler is not long enough. So I want to cut this in half, but I want to make sure it's kind of straight. So I just use this plastic measuring thing that came with my cutting mat. Okay, and then I'm going to take my wood burner and I'm going to cut this piece in half. Oh, that wasn't a good, obviously. Let's see. It's a little harder going like against the grain here, but there we go. So we have 2 triangles now. The glass cutting mat I got off Amazon. It is under Lori's Favorite Tools, this exact one. I've had this one for probably about 4 years. It's amazing. You know how many times I've dropped it and it hasn't broke? So it really is a good glass cutting mat. Okay, so now we have 2 petals from the one spliced mesh, okay? For this particular design, we need four whole pieces of the yellow with the orange deluxe foil. Again, you can use whatever colors you want, okay? And then the next layer is going to be yellow with this lighter orange over top. And you're going to cut it exactly the same. So you can just pull the fused piece off. So again, you can use any mesh. I just happen to have orange deluxe foil, which is perfect for what my design I wanted tonight. I had some open. So now this is a value mesh. We're gonna do the same. So I'm gonna roll it out. And this is just giving the yellow mesh a light hue of orange, which is exactly what I want. Because we're kind of doing an ombre kind of design tonight. An ombre hybrid flower. I think it's going to be pretty fabulous. All right, so I'm lining again. All right, so we're just going to... Again, if when you have your mesh, the beginning, because I need 4 of these, you would do all 4 at the same time, so you don't have to keep doing the starter piece. So this one with the yellow with the light orange. So like I said, you can use value mesh, or you can use a just a normal foil orange. We need 8 of these. Okay, so I'll start it off. So again, we're going to start it just like we did the other one. So I'm going to wood burn it to get it fused. Okay, so this little piece is garbage. Garbage! All right, so again, 10.5, both mesh are 10.5 inches. I'm going to take my ruler, put it at the 10.5, and I'm going to cut right by the 10.5 in between the thicker yellow pieces. Okay, cut like butter. And there we go. So they're fused together. Okay, so this is the yellow with the lighter orange over top. So when we do our flower, it is going to look like a different color than the normal yellow. You'll see in a sec. Okay, so I'm doing 8 pieces of that one. All right, and then when you just need a normal 10.5-inch piece and you need to wood burn it. You just square it all up like you did, and a little easier. We're just going to do the one piece. Again, I'm going in between the thicker okay. So because I'm going to be doing a Dean Michael petal, you're going to see the edges of this petal, and that's why I'm wood burning. Now, normally I would do this with a respirator on because it stinks to high heavens. So that is how you fuse your mesh, and that is how you cut it in half. So we're making a rose / sunflower. I am using the large board, and I've written what I'm doing right on the board. Row 2. It's got a big number 2. We're not using row 1. If you want to add green leaves, so row 2 is just all yellow. Okay, so we're just doing normal yellow Dean Michael petals, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. Row 3 is going to be I put LTO, meaning light orange with the yellow. And you can see, I don't know if you guys can see, I can see that little bit of that value two-tone orange over top of the yellow does give it a different hue. So it breaks it up from being completely yellow, and it's in between the orange and the yellow. So that's how we're getting our kind of ombre. So I put on row 3 LTO for light orange and Y for yellow. So that's row 3. Row 4, I put OY, which means orange yellow. And it's going to be these half pieces that we did. Okay, so you're going to do 4 complete squares of orange and yellow, and then cut them in half. And you'll see, because our rose is actually going to start on row 4. So you'll see in a sec, once we get going, what I'm talking about. Okay, so first you're going to do the orange yellow, and then we're going to come back over and start the rose portion of the center on row 4. And then row 5 is just orange, just the orange deluxe foil. Okay, that's going to be our rose. Now that I've confused everybody, we'll get started. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. So on row 2 is just the yellow. Now I like to do what's called the double Dean. Now the double Dean doesn't require wood burning, and it really gives a deep yellow color. Okay, instead of doing like a simple Dean Michael with a 10.5 by 10.5 inch piece, I cut a piece at 20 inches long, and on row 2 I've done 8 double Deans and 8 single. Now you guys can do whatever you want. I just wanted to try and see what it looked like. The double Dean, like I said, gives you extremely huge color. Okay, so this is a double Dean. You could barely even see through it. And this is a single one. So this one you don't have to wood burn. So a double Dean, you're going to cut your mesh. This mesh, I'm going to cut it at 20 inches. And I don't need a wood burner. So I'm just squaring it up, cutting it at 20 inches. Okay. Like I said, I'm doing 8 double Dean and 8 normal. So we're getting all kinds of stuff in here. I like to fold it over just to find where the center is. So you just kind of fold it over, line up the edges, and find the center. Okay, I can see that line going down the center. Now I'm going to take, curl up the right corner. I'm going to bring this edge, it's going to go straight down the middle. And that's why I like to find the center. Okay, there we go. And then the left is going to go right down the center as well. And this is making a Dean Michael petal, but a double one. And then I'm going to take this whole thing, I'm flipping it. So this whole left side is going over to the right. And we want to make sure that this edge right here is all lined up. So I throw a clip on there. Okay, now it's the start of a normal Dean Michael petal, right? Okay, so I turn this is the top of the Dean Michael. I turn it to the left. Now I want to find the middle of this triangle again. You can stretch it out and try it and find it. I find when you find the exact center of each petal, it makes for a better petal. It really does. So it only takes a second to flip it over, make a little line there, and we know that's exactly where the center is, okay? So I'm going to pinch where that line is, and then I'm going to scrunch or pleat 3 times to the top. So 1, 2, 3. Bring it right to the center. Then I like to flip it around, and I'm going to do it 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. Everything's in the center. It's pretty thick. Like I said, it's very yellow. So if you want your sunflower really yellow so that you don't see through it, the double Dean is what you want to do. And then I'm going to take a zip tie. These little tiny corners, I'm just going to kind of fold them back to the back side. And I'm going to put a zip tie on the bottom. You can put a rubber band, or you can stick it right into the board. I pre-made all my petals, so I zip tied them. The zip tie acts like a little stopper. All right, this is what we got. And once you got your zip tie at the bottom, then you're gonna take from the back and you're gonna open that bad boy up. And look how perfect that is. And we didn't even wood burn. We did use double the mesh. That's why I only did 8. So I did 8 normal Dean Michael and 8 double Dean Michael. And then you just open that up. And there we go. We got a perfect, beautiful Dean Michael petal. Okay. The single 10 by 10.5 by 10.5 diamond shape curl up. You're going to take the top corner, we're going to bring it to the bottom corner, and if you made a perfect square, it should pretty much line up. Okay, this is the top. I'm just going to put a clip on it. All right, I'm going to fold it over just to find the middle. I used to just stretch it down the middle, but I find the petals, if you actually find the exact middle, the petals turn out so much more nice, so much nicer. Okay, so there's my center right there. Pinch. 3. 1, 2, 3. I flip it around. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to just put these little corners in behind. Now you can either put it right into the board, you can rubber band them, or you can put a zip tie. It depends on how you want to do it. I recommend a zip tie. That way, like I said, it's a stopper. If someone were to pull this petal, it's not coming out. But yeah, it does put a little bit more cost onto the finished project. So that's totally up to you. Zip tie, rubber band, or just put it right into onto the board. All right, there's our Dean Michael. Now again, you're gonna take this and you're gonna nicely open that right up. This petal, it's great on any. The only thing is with the Dean Michael petal, you pretty much do have to wood burn it. Because you can see both sides of the mesh, right? If you were to use poly burlap and didn't wood burn this, you would have strings everywhere. It would look like a hot mess. So, but if you did a double Dean, which I don't suggest doing with poly burlap because it's quite expensive. Okay, so row 2 is just yellow. So this one's a double. Again, pass the zip tie and pull it back until it hits the zip tie and do that. Next one is a single. And then a double. So it's just yellow I'm doing on row 2. Just yellow. You can see I use clips a lot. Okay, so I did 8 double Deans and 8 single. You can do just 8 single if you want, or you can do 16 doubles. Totally up to you. Okay, so the next row is the yellow with the orange overlay. Okay, so it's got a little tinge of yellow. That is going to be row 3. Again, it's just the Dean Michael petal, top corner to the bottom corner. Just make sure they're all, the corner, I like to make sure it's lined up. Okay, find your center. Pinch right in the middle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then again, I'm putting the little corners in behind. And you can zip tie it. Okay, once it's on, you're going to open that up. And row 3 is the light orange and yellow. And again, you can use whatever petal you want as well. With this flower that I'm doing, this hybrid flower, it does work best with the with a bigger petal. The pinwheel petal, or the Dean Michael. So this is the light. Again, I wrote on the board light orange and yellow. Okay, and then row 4 is our half pieces, and you'll see why they're just half pieces. Look how nice and big and open these are, right? Okay, row 4, we have orange, yellow. These are the half pieces. You're gonna fold it in half, only to find the middle. I kind of like doing that now. I don't need this one. Where did the other piece go? Right here. I just find when you find the exact middle, it does make a difference, friends. It really does. just make a little crease at the bottom there so you know where the middle is and pinch there. 3, 1, 2, 3, and I flip it around. 1, 2, 3. Got these little corners. Again, you can rubber band it, you can zip tie it, or you can simply just put it right into the board, preloaded. Just make sure you put it in the same distance as the other ones. Do that up. And then we're gonna, so we got 8 of those, so there's 4 squares you need. Perfection. Well, when I'm teaching, I want to make sure you guys know the tips and tricks and how, how to achieve the look. Different ways. There's different ways to do things. All right, so that is 8 half pieces. First thing we're going to do, we are on row 4. There's row 5. We will get to row 5. We're on row 4 right now. On row 4, we're going to pick 4. I'm going to start right here and put my zip tie in. I did 1 zip tie right over top on row 4. Right over top, doesn't matter where you start. Just do 1 zip tie up so it's locked. Skip 1. Go, we're going to do the next one. You're going to skip 1, so we're just doing the zip ties closed over top. Okay, so we have 4 zip ties on row 4. I'm using the yellow with the orange overlay like I did on row 4. Show you guys how I'm doing it. So we're going to cut. You don't need to wood burn for this. I'm just going to show you how I made the petal really quickly. And you also don't need to have a double color if you don't want. I was just trying new things. Okay, so I got my deluxe foil and I got a piece of the yellow. I'm going to put the orange deluxe foil right over top of the yellow. I just wanted to give it a different color, a different hue, and give it some sparkle. So I got the 1 piece, okay, curl up. All right, top corner is going to the bottom corner, just like that. And I'm going to pinch in the middle, bring the top side in, bring the bottom side in, so we make our like umbrella or stingray. So I'm going to take a small 4-inch zip tie, and at 4 inches, we have a 4-inch tail here, okay? So all of my petals, which are 12 petals in total. So we have 4-inch. So the zip tie is at the same place for all of these petals, okay? I made 12. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut most of the tail off. So we'll leave about 1 inch, okay? It's where the zip tie is placed is the most important. Okay, so right now you need 4 petals. We want to make sure they're nice and poofy. All right, I'm going to take 1 petal, and we're going to use quite a few zip ties here. I'm going to put the 1 petal going towards the center. I'm going to put it in. Alrighty, and then I'm going to put this one in right across. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to use quite a few zip ties. You don't have to. I'm only going to use quite a few so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, okay, and how I'm doing it. So we got 2 of the petals in right across from each other. Let's do these up. Okay, just do them up. So we've got our little stopper zip tie. Okay, we have our 2 here. Now what I'm going to do is this corner, make sure the meshes together. I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to put it into this zip tie, okay? Just like that. And this is kind of curling up. I'm going to take this corner and put it in. You can see this is kind of curling up. And then we're going to do that zip tie up. So I said we're going to use a few zip ties. Now I could, you'll see we're going to put another petal here and here. I could put the petal, but I think it's just easier if I do it like this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, again, now we're going to do the same thing. Put this corner in. So make sure that this is kind of, this up here is kind of curling towards the center, okay? And then again, this one, and you're just crisscrossing them in the zip tie, kind of like we do in the rows on row 2. Okay, so we got these 2 done. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we're going to do another 4 zip ties again. So I'm going right over top. And yes, I could have used the same 4 zip ties, but like I said, I'm going slow so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go over top of this one again. So on this row, row 4, we're only going to need 4 of these petals. Okay, so we're going 4 again. This time the zip tie tail of this, it's going to go on this side, and then the corners are going to go here. I'm going to put this right in this side. I didn't think my hands were this sore. They're pretty sore. Okay, and again, we're going to do the same thing on this side, so they're right across from each other. Okay, do that up. So if you do have needle nose pliers, it's easier to pull your zip ties with the pliers if you have some. Okay, we're going to cut those 2 off. And then we're going to do the exact same thing we did with these ones. We're going to take the corner, okay, bring that corner into this zip tie. And then this corner, I'm going to cross it again. Again, they're kind of folding. You can see it's curling up a little bit. They're just kind of crossed like this in the zip tie. My arthritis is bugging me today. All right. Pull that. Do the exact same thing. So now you can actually do measurements so that all your center is going to be the exact same, instead of just, you know, wrapping like we were doing last night. Instead of just wrapping and gluing the corners down, we're actually making every petal exactly the same. Okay, so that's it for that row. I'll lift it up. Look how pretty. There's the side. Okay, way better. All right, I'm just gonna make sure we're cleaned up in here a little bit. None of the holes are covered. Alrighty, so we're now on to row 5. Row 5, we're gonna kind of do the same thing we just did on row 4. Okay, so I'm going to take a zip tie. I think I'm going to, because we're gonna use, I think, 8 zip ties on row 5. I think I'm going to use the shared holes to start. So we're going to do 4, and I'll flip it over so you can see exactly where I'm going. So 1, we're going to go to the shared. So they're a little bit longer. So these are the like normal, and then we call these the shared. They're just a little bit longer. That is where I'm going to go with my 4 zip ties. Oh, wrong. So we leave this little blank space. We will be coming into this little blank space at the end. So we got 4 here, okay? Do these up. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, so you're gonna take this, we're going to put it in the zip tie, and we'll put another one right across from it. I'm on row 5. Okay, so I've taken the corner, kind of turned it towards the inner, and put that corner in like that. Again, take this corner, I'm turning it and putting it into the zip tie. Like I said, I'm going to be talking to myself because I haven't done this before, so it's just something in my head. That might work. Okay, let's see. We'll do the other side. Okay, take the corners. I'm kind of just folding them in so you can see these two kind of look like a scoop. I'll show you in a sec. See how these two are kind of turned in? We're going to do these two exactly the same. I think that's going to work out well. Okay, I'm going to go over top of the same 4 zip ties that I just did. Yeah, needle nose pliers are a great help, especially when your hands are bugging you. there's the 4 again. Okay, so now where this empty spot is, that's where we're going in. So this rounded part will go in right there. And then I'll do that up. Okay, put another one. Going right across. And you can see there's an empty spot there. Do that up. Okay, and then again, I'm going to take the corner and kind of turn it in and put it into the zip tie from one side, and then do the same on the other. And we'll do this up. Ooh, a little bit fancy schmancy here. And I'm using double pieces of mesh, so it gets a little crammed in there. Okay, the corners are in. There we go. Alrighty, almost done. All right, so those were the shared holes. So now we're going to go in, and I'm going to use the normal holes on row 5. I can push that through from here because there's already 2 zip ties in there. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we got these 4 zip ties done up. Those are the normal. And we're going to do, I'm just going to use orange. Just orange, just the plain orange one. You're going to make the petal exactly the same, but we're just using 1 piece. Orange tail. And this time, with these 4, the tail, we're going to go towards the outside. So you're going to take your petal, put it into your zip tie. I know it's really hard for you guys to see. There is a space that this tail can go into. Okay, and then you're going to do it up. Okay, so I pushed our little zip tie stopper past this. Like I said, there is a little space. I don't know if you can see, there's the tail right there of that one, okay? And cut that off. So we're going to do 4 just like that. And then these 4 will be the ones that wrap around our flower, our bud. Okay, again, tail going into that zip tie with the stopper going past. Now, if you do want to try one of these, I would do it step by step with me. So watch the replay think I'm going slow enough that you guys would be able to follow along. And put it into the other 4. I know you guys are not going to be able to see what I'm doing in here, but just putting the tail into the zip tie, going past the little stopper, and then pull the zip tie. Last one right here. Get all 4 of those in, and they're going backwards, right? Okay, so open them up. This one's over here. Okay. This one, oh, I just pulled it right out of the zip tie. There we go. Okay. Okay, now we need to make the center, the bud, and that's going to go right in the center, and we'll wrap all these 4 that we just put in. We're going to wrap them around the bud a little bit. Okay, you just kind of roll it. Take this, roll it in so that it's almost the same length as that tail, and roll, and then this one wraps around it. And then I'm going to put a zip tie, because I don't want this really long. I'm going to put a zip tie just around about 5 inches. Yes. This is going to go right in the center. Pushing through all the mesh that's in there. There, got it. That's the very center one. We'll do that up. Take our little bud here, and I'm going to put the tail right in so it's past the zip tie like we do. I'm going to cut a little bit more of this off. There we go. Do that up. center. All right, and now we're going to start wrapping those 4 pieces around. Making sure the corner, the bottom corner is down towards the board. So it's kind of like that. You can also, I was thinking you could probably also do a lolly petal to go around. That might work too. Okay, so I'm just going around and I'm wrapping those 4 we just put in and just wrapping it. Around the center like that. Much nicer. Perfect. I'm gonna you can use a little bit of glue, but I'm gonna try and see if I can just get my handy dandy stapler. There's just the last two corners right here from wrapping. Staple them together and push them down, okay? These came out not, let's see. Let me try and pull these corners out and see if I like it. It's all just playing, my friends, we're just playing, figuring out different stuff. These are the ones I kind of turned in. I think I might like them a little better if they're just like wrapped around the bud there. Use some glue. I'm gonna get the glue. It is looking like I really wanted it to look. Just have to tweak it a bit. So it looks better without those 4, with the corners turned in. I just pulled them out, so we're just gonna put a little bit of hot glue. Or I could even staple too. That works too. Yes, much better. Okay, this is ready to go. So I'm just gonna put some hot glue. I'm just gluing the corners down. Alrighty. I think all the corners are intact. And there we go. Can't see any of the board. Okay, there we go. Let me zoom. So there's the view from the side. So you can't see any of the zip ties. It's really, really cool looking. It looks like it's a variegated hybrid flower. Right? Isn't that cool? Something's off with this bud, but I'll fix it. I think I just need to turn the bud a little bit different. But just playing, trial and error is everything. I wasn't even sure if this was going to work, so it does. And there we go. Another beautiful flower. And it's pretty big. This one is 26 inches in diameter.